The Digital Switchover (DSO) program represents one of the most significant transformations in Nigeria's broadcasting industry. It involves the migration from analog television broadcasting to digital terrestrial television, a process aimed at improving broadcast quality, expanding access to information, and enhancing the viewing experience for millions of Nigerians. The digital switchover is in line with the directive of the International Communication Union (ITU), which encourages member states to transit from analog to digital broadcasting in order to optimize the use of frequency spectrum and support the development of modern communication services. Stakeholders have noted that the DSO will provide clearer pictures, better sound quality, more television channels, electronic program guides, and interactive service. The transition is also expected to create jobs, stimulate local content development, and attract greater investment into the broadcasting and creative industries. Beyond improving broadcast services, the digital switchover will free up valuable spectrum known as the digital dividend, which can be deployed for broadband services, telecommunications, expansion, and other digital economy initiatives. However, questions remain about the level of public awareness, the availability of set-top boxes, the readiness of broadcasters, and the infrastructure required to ensure a seamless transition across the country. On this episode of Nigeria Today, the program will examine the importance of the digital switchover, its benefits to Nigerians, the challenges of implementation, and the role of key stakeholders in ensuring its successful rollout. Thanks for joining us on the program. I'm your carrier, Clinton. Now, joining me in the studio to discuss the launch of the digital switchover is Mrs. Jane Egerton-Idehen. She's the Managing Director and a Chief Executive Officer, Nigerian Communications Satellite Limited, Nigcomsat. It's a pleasure to have you on Nigeria Today.
Thank you so much, Ukera.
And also with us in the studio for this conversation is the Director General and the Chief Executive Officer of the National Broadcasting Commission, NBC, Charles Ebuebu. It's a pleasure to have you in Nigeria Today.
Thank you very much.
Now, I'll start with you, Mrs. Idehen, Egerton-Idehen.
Yes.
Yeah. Tell us, what does digital switchover mean for the average television viewer?
So what it means for the average viewer is the real dividends of democracy. Yeah. Now, what does it mean that every Nigerian, irrespective of where they are in the country, can have access to over 100 TV channels with no paid subscription? It means that entertainment is available, educational programs is available, but it creates a whole ecosystem beyond that, because it means even for people that want to be part of the advertisement sector, and that's a whole digital economy there, creating jobs for installers, a whole sub-sector. So for us, this is really truly what democracy is about, that when there are dividends like that of broadcasting, everybody, irrespective of where you live in the country, irrespective of how much you earn, you have access to that. And that's what we have today. Everybody in Nigeria would have access to these broadcast channels in Nigeria.
And what is this? What will it be for us, like the broadcasters?
For the broadcasters, there's more, because one of the things we really want to promote is local content. All these 100 channels are all local content. So they are local broadcasters, local TV stations. That means you can watch Jigawa TV in Lagos. You can watch Enugu Station Broadcasting Corporation in Maiduguri. It means you can watch Cross River Broadcasting in Borno. And that's really one Nigeria. But for broadcasters, it means that content you create, that story you tell, those educational content, the entertainment content is available to Nigerians anywhere in the country, irrespective of where you create it. But it also creates an whole ecosystem. It gives you availability to also drive that whole economy, making money advertising the content, making money creating the content. And that's truly what we want to get out of this, that we will equip Nigerians, we will use Nigerians for this, and we'll use infrastructure from Nigeria for it.
If I got you clearly, initially you mentioned something free?
Yes.
you get it for free.
The TV is for, you can see it on the first free TV.
That's really, why is it important we have this, really, Charles?
You know, so, but if you consider even the word, you know, you're a broadcaster, you know, even if you're a state-run, you know, broadcaster, it's free to air. So the name, you know, even going by the connotation of the name, you're supposed to have free access to those channels. You know, you're not a pay TV subscription where someone has to pay subscription to have viewership. So what we've done, you know, beyond the technology, beyond having clear pictures, we have increased the number of channels, giving larger viewership to content creators like yourselves, to be able to, like she said, you would have viewership anywhere you're in the country. It doesn't matter whether you're in Lagos, you're in Abuja, you're in my village, you know, any rural area, they're on reach. All you need is a one-off cost to purchase equipment and you're on air. As it stands today from our research, already about 10 million Nigerians have those kind of decoders, where, you know, it's unencrypted. You just connect a dish, pan it to the right, you know, position, and you have access for free. We do not intend to introduce subscription payment into it. Of course, I mean, with a platform like this, there are other layers that come on top of it, but I can tell you, for the free, it remains free. Nigerians will have access freely.
But you also mentioned decoders. We have to get the decoders.
Yes, so they have to buy the set-top boxes.
The set-top boxes.
Yes.
And of course, you just connect and you start getting the channels.
You buy the set-top box, face it to the right satellite, you get the channels, no subscription at all.
No, okay, now my concern is, you said it's for free, you just get a decoder, and so how do you intend to really maintain this in terms of the infrastructures and all of that? Because, you know, I know that when you get something like maybe the DSTV, you know, you pay, and the subscription, they say, okay, they need to maintain certain things there. So how are we going to do that?
I think you're enjoying the dividends of democracy. Because one of the great things we've done is a partnership between two government agencies and two government ministries. We're using the satellite that is owned by Nigeria. And that's a huge benefit. It offloads a huge part of the cost. We're using the regulator's support to support some of the equipment to build this. That takes a whole huge cost and allows us to pass those savings to the users. And that's why they don't have to pay for subscription.
Are we really ready as a country? Are we ready for this transition in terms of infrastructure and all of that?
I think we're ready. It took 15 years.
We should have switched over 2015. So, you know, we should have done this a long time ago.
Okay.
You know.
So what's the role of the NBC in ensuring that there's a smooth transition?
Okay. So I wonder, you know, thank you for the question, because, you know, the NBC have been accused sometimes of becoming a player itself, a broadcaster. That's not what we're doing. We're providing policy direction, if you will. So you see, even in the collaboration with Nigcomsat, we make sure they provide the services, whether it's the ground services or the satellite services, so that people have access. We are not broadcasting. We're not asking for subscription payment. So there are several players, you know, stakeholders, if you will, like this STB manufacturers. We make sure the supply boxes. All we're trying to do is provide that policy direction that grows the ecosystem, make sure that the dividends of digital broadcasting is obtained, wider viewership, clearer pictures. Most importantly, when she talks about the ecosystem, return on investment. So to the question you ask, how will we sustain this? So the federal government, you know, have put forward funds to be able to put this in place. That's why we talk about the 18-month duration. But after that has elapsed, we're not going to ask Nigerians to pay. We're coming up with a model where it's a self-sustaining system based on advertising revenue. So at no time are we going to be asking Nigerians, so you have after the 18 months, it's never going to be a paid subscription. It remains free. All you need is that one-off cost where you get equipment. And as it is, even if you don't have a decoder, there are some TVs that have satellite decoders. I mean, tuners in it. So if you have those kind of TVs, all you need to do is put up the dish, connect it, and you're good to go. You don't need a decoder. You know.
We don't need a decoder, just put up
if
the
you
dish.
have a TV that has a satellite tuner.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, which means if you don't have one that has a satellite tuner,
you have to get a
decoder. So of course that brings me to the to my next question about the people living in the rural areas, underserved areas. I mean, is there any kind of measures in place to ensure that they also benefit from all of this?
So today was the launch day, which is a very strategic day to make sure that everybody is aware that this is available. there are also other plans to ensure that even those that cannot afford this, there's a way we can also get to them and get them access. So those are plans that are taken, because there's a lot of discussions happening behind the scenes. One of the things we want to encourage is local content, even in manufacturing of the boxes. There are a lot of people that manufacture boxes. We want to encourage that. Also want to encourage for people that cannot afford to get the boxes, we will find a way to make sure boxes are given to them. So those are the next phases that would play out as well.
All right, thank you very much. We are going to take a breather here. This conversation will continue shortly. Don't go away.
The implementation of the ruling is also dependent on another aspect or another arm of government.
Nowhere in the world will allow under digital economy for banks not to be dispensing domestic currency in that economy.
What will make this one different?
We want to know what they do as occupation. All of these are attributes that are questions have been designed to investigate.
In a few days to come, you see that we are all around their own crannies and everywhere in Nigeria, telling people to cooperate.
Welcome to Nigeria Today. Welcome back. This is still Nigeria Today. We're talking about the launch of the digital switch over, the DSO. And of course, I have a gentleman here and a lady. I almost said two gentlemen.
Thank you.
Of course, what you're doing is like what gentlemen do. So you talked about people getting decoder if you don't have the satellite, what you called it.
Yes.
Now, how accessible really are these decoders to the ordinary Nigerian?
The interesting thing is that we even thought we have just created, now we have to go and get the decoders. And we find that the market itself is even solving the problem. Okay. So already the existing decoders in the market, which we see a lot of people installing or they were already using. Some call it DVB-S2 decoders. It's a little bit technical, but these are very common decoders. People just buy off the shelf and they install. For those, all you need to do is make sure that the antenna is facing the satellite, and that's it. But like we also said, there's some smart TVs that already have these tuners in them. In those cases, you don't need a decoder. But interesting enough, we've done it in a way that you can watch it on your phone. So if you do have a phone, you can download, the normal Google Play, Apple Play Store, free TV. All those 100 channels are there for you to watch.
Okay, now how will the digital dividend generated from this, this transition benefit the telecommunications and digital economy sector?
Okay, so basically, you do know that with digital broadcasting, you're able to save up on spectrum, right? Which is very valuable as an asset for the country, So what we intend to do, by the time we're done with all of these channels, the plan is to have analog switch off in December 2028. We might even achieve that before then at the speed at which we're going. Now, when that happens, we'll be able, that spectrum that is harvested back, if you will be sold to the telecoms and for, telecom services, banking services, all of that, which will bring huge investment. It's not like it's a lease where you pay for a period and you provide services. That introduces a new digital economy to the system. You have skill sets that will be brought to play. You have businesses, revenue, income, so many things this will bring. And of course it will bring investment into digital broadcasting. That's, must be said, There's a lot of investment that opens up opportunities when you go into digital broadcasting or you use for digital services. So the country stands to benefit. Like I said, we should have achieved this since 2015. There were a few issues why we didn't do that. We had a few starts and stops, but I can assure you this is going to be the final thing. We're going to achieve the purpose.
There were some few starts and stops.
Yeah.
Has it been fixed, really?
Like every journey, there are some few starts and stops. But we are proud to tell you that this is now the last stop.
Exactly.
Okay.
We are now in for it because we've considered every possible model. We've tried to involve every possible stakeholder. And that has given us clarity. So right now, we believe all stakeholders are being carried along, and we've considered every possible technology to be used for this.
Okay, and earlier on in our intro, we talked about creating jobs. So how will this create jobs?
Lots of
Because
jobs.
we really look forward to that.
Because that's
yes.
all the way down from people that install, the people that install your satellite TV, you know, your old satellite TV. This is a whole widespread ecosystem for them. And I spent like, I think on Monday we were having Zoom calls with like 600 of them. There's so much excitement in the air
the informal
because
sector.
it's creating job for that informal
Yes.
sector. But let's take it up a bit. Local manufacturers, people that manufacture the set-top boxes, they are all local. We are encouraging local content. That's another layer that will be taught. Take it up one more bit. Broadcasters like yourself, people that own broadcast TV, now they will have advert data. When they want to do advertisement, they can generate revenue because with digital broadcasting, they would have that data.
Measurable.
Take it up one more level. Advertisers themselves, local content providers. I think the ecosystem stands to be really impacted. And just like the DJ said, when we do free up the spectrum, it will even help the nation further because we can use it for broadband.
Okay, will you also be having some, foreign channels?
Yes, that will come up eventually, but we're concentrating on growing the local channels first. That's where our objective is, to return investment to the local broadcasters so that rather than selling airtime, prime time as it is, that's not what they should be getting revenue from. It's competitive content. So when revenue is returned into the creative industry, they're able to produce more content, that are appealing not just locally, but foreign-wise, globally. I would give you the example of Nollywood. When we started, quality was wise. It wasn't that great. We had great stories to tell, but we're not investing in cameras, editing suites and all of that. But what is it today? Because we have a global appeal, there's more investment. You have the likes of Netflix coming to commission films. They give you a standard. So people had to invest into that to give it up to the standard that was acceptable globally. That is what we're trying to do with this. Where there's a lot of technical issues we're going to, when we talk about clean pictures, when we talk about clean stories, good content, you're going to see improvement as we go along.
Okay, so we're going to also be seeing, just like you said, we have to ensure that we have quality in terms of,
We're creating a competitive
content.
platform. And we said that to the industry from the beginning. So this, like she said, is just the first stage. Then we're going to put on content. You have to meet certain standards. That pushes people. So like I said, rather than waiting for someone who has content, any content to bring, and then you don't have a niche market, you don't have a brand identity, everything goes. When investments start coming in, because we're introducing audience measurement, beyond audience measurement, where you'll be able to, advertisers can see who is watching what is the most compelling content, which content has the appealing effect. There's also, we're setting up 6 geopolitical located studios. So you don't need to travel, for example, if you are in Enugu, to produce content in Lagos. There'll be a studio in Enugu for you to produce. There'll be one in Kano, there'll be one in Lagos, there'll be one in Benin. You don't need to go far. And what does this do? It's beyond doubt that, Nollywood has made it, music has made it. Television is the one lacking behind, and that's why we're addressing the issues. Now, if you agree with me that we have, beyond 700 languages in Nigeria, why are we concentrating on production of content on just the 3 major languages, Pidgin and English? What about the rest? So all of this is strategy meant to bring up, enhance, basically, and produce content, not just for local consumption, for foreign consumption, and that will bring investment. So there's a whole lot of strategy around this.
Okay, when you say we also want to, produce, content for globally, for global consumption.
Yes.
Now, are you also considering selling this to, the outside country? What I mean is, the DSTV.
Yes.
They sold to us. We buy here. We don't know what is happening in South Africa, okay? But then they sell to us, we pay subscription and all of that.
Okay.
Do you intend doing the same?
So one of the
Do we
great,
have the
one of the great things is that because we are using the Nigcomsat satellite, which is the satellite owned by the Nigerian government, anywhere the satellite has coverage, you can watch these broadcast TVs. And the satellite has coverage over the entire sub-Saharan Africa.
Pay. They have to pay. That's what area I'm looking at.
It is free if they have the
So
decoder.
let me, if I may speak about that. So what you're referring to is whether eventually we'll be talking about subscription. I have said that
outside the country. Outside the country.
So content can be monetized in different ways. It doesn't have to be by subscription.
Yeah.
So for example, I'll give you an example that you relate to it. We're sitting here in Nigeria, and the platform goes and acquires the rights to watch CNN, and they put it here and they get their money back by subscription. Nothing, if with the coverage the Nigcomsat satellite is producing and providing, somebody in Kenya can say, oh, I like this channel, and they will have a direct deal. It's not all selling. We're just enabling. We're providing an enabling environment where content producers around the world can have a conversation with each other. I mean, with online platforms, I mean, you have where Nigerian producers are even going off traditional TV and putting things on YouTube, because there's a monetization scheme behind it where people pay advertising revenue, they run adverts. So there are many ways you can monetize your content without even going by way of subscription. You know,
So
but it would be a direct conversation between the parties.
Now we're talking about the awareness. How aware people are Nigerians? Because for me, I'm already excited. I'm going to have it free just on my TV, and I just see, you know, some of these are our channels, you know. So how aware are Nigerians about this?
You're correct. That's why we're here. We really, really want to create awareness among Nigerians. Please, if you can, free TV on your phone. Just go to Google Play, Apple Store. You can download the app. But you can also get your modem if you can get it, and just face the satellite and you'll get it. We really want Nigerians to be aware that you can have those dividends of democracy that we promised you in the Renewed Hope agenda. And that's why we're here. We want people to know that this thing is free, and we really mean it's free. And a lot of people, we see a lot of traction online, but we want even the people in the remote areas, you know, and sometimes it's traditional media, to get to them, to know that if you can get the decoder, if you can get the modem, it's free to watch, no subscription. Over 100 channels, please, go for it. And
if I may add to that, you know, as against what one of the strategies we've come up with is that we have stakeholders, companies engaged to provide marketing and publicity for this. So right now as we speak, there are several online handles where they're talking about free TV. Conversations are being held, publicity. If you're going through the airport in Lagos, there's a huge billboard that's talking about, you know, free TV. And even the informal sector, like she said, advertising. So right now, like she said, 65,000 installers all over the country are saying, oh, there's a new service, you know, and you know, all you need to do is turn your dish. People are speaking because it's good news, right? They've never seen this kind where you have access. You only get this on pay TV, where you have this number of channels, but we're saying it's free. The thing is that we're not going to go by way of subscription. There are other ways, like I said, you monetize content. What you need to do is to ensure the widest viewership, distribution. You have audience measurement, like she has mentioned, where advertisers who want to put their money, you know, where there's content appeal, you know, viewership and all that. And then, so it opens a new revenue stream, if you will, and brings it back to the economy. There's now reinvestment by, you know, serious content providers to be able to bring more compelling content to keep bringing that money. And so it's a circle and it grows. And that's how Nollywood grew to what it is today.
Okay, so if maybe you have a channel, you have content and you want to be on this platform, so how do you go about it?
Very easy. We can go to NBC on the website. There are places that will allow you to go through the process, go through the due diligence. And once you go to the due diligence, you'll be sent to Nigcomsat, and your channel will be added to the free TV. That is how simple it is.
That's how it is. Countries all over content providers all over the country, they are contributing their content, whether by IP, you know, you could sit anywhere, you get on an internet IP provider and your content is brought there, or you go by way of satellite or by fiber, it gets to Nigcomsat. Of course, you get a license from the NBC first, and you're good to go.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Charles Ibu, who is the Director General and Chief Executive Officer of the NBC, which is the National Broadcasting Commission. Thank you so much for coming on the program. And also we have Mrs. Jane Nkechi Egerton-Idehen, is the Managing Director and the Chief Executive Officer, Nigerian Communications Satellite Limited, Nigcomsat. Thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you.
And thank you for being part of the program. I'm Nigerian Clinton. Goodbye.